Okay, so I was commissioned to do a new project. This is going to be a bay window trim project. I'm going to be trimming out the bottoms and tops and also inside trim only. It's going to be all poplar wood. The client asked me to do this to match some other poplar projects I've done in the house. So we're just going to have the same kind of wood to match. So let's go with this project. Okay, so like most projects, they start at the sawmill where I got a bunch of poplar. I got about 6 pieces at 10 inches wide by about 10 feet long, 1 inch thick. They were all 4/4. I didn't want real thick wood for this because we're going to mill them down to about a 1/2 inch here, as you see with a planer. So we're going to start with the planer in particular here. We can't use my jointer on these long boards. We will cut them down to about 90 inches before we ship them out, but we're going to work with them as is right now. So we're going to run through the planer and make them a little lighter, a little more easy to manage. And then we're going to trim them up, get a flat, straight edge. We're going to use the track saw for this. So the track saw is going to make easy work of this and safest work. And then after we go through the track saw, we will flip over the other side, and then we'll cut them down a final width, or roughly final width, with the table saw. Once they're a little more manageable, we have one straight edge. And the straight edges is pretty easy with a track saw. In my previous video, what I just showed a picture of here, we use this track saw or a table saw with the jig sled. So right here, we're going to use a track saw. We're just going to set them up in saw horses, these long boards, and just rip one straight edge. Okay, so I like to mark at the edge where I know I made my straight rip. So I know that's going to be the side that will go against my fence when I take these over to this table saw later to get the cut down to roughly to the final width of these boards. So these pieces that I'm ripping now on the table saw, the leftover pieces we will utilize for trim for this project. trim wasn't agreed upon ahead of time, but I had a feeling we were going to have to do this, so I knew I was going to bring these extra trim pieces, run them through the planer later, or rip them through the table saw to get to the final about 1 inch to 3/4 inch width, and pretty much square. So we'll rip these bigger pieces down. Here's you see these leftover trim pieces. We'll rip them down to utilize, so nothing's wasted. Start to cut down a little bit more. Okay. Because these will have miter cuts on them, but we're going to do that on site. It's not going to be a 45. It could be crazy angles and different on each one, as we're going to find out later when we get on site. Not to mention going around little trim pieces and weather stripping around the window. Nothing's going to be, straight. So I'm just trying to get a visual right now how it could lay out. Just make sure that I have enough wood to bring on site. Okay, so now that we're on site, part of this video is going to revolve around my truck. My truck is one of my tools. I use it for fun, pleasure, and work, but mainly work. This truck has a power generator built in the back that run for a couple days, even power your house if needed. People, I think in Texas, use it for storms, but it's not I'm not promoting the truck. I'm just saying this is one of my tools that I do use. So I pretty much use the truck to do all of our cutting with the miter saw, track saw, shop vac, sanding, etc. We pretty much everything we did outside, we were plugged in the truck all day, and we had no issues. We had plenty of power, and it worked out real nice. The job was not an easy job due to the angles and all the stripping, weather stripping. Nothing was level. Here's the power from the truck. We barely were cracking a dent in the power. I think this truck gets about 7.2 kilowatts total power. If needed, you can plug in, your tailgates, your TVs, if you're at a tailgate party, camping. I use it for fishing and working on site, typically. So here we are. We're just going to use the track saw. We're going to start cutting these crazy angles. Try to get it fit as best as possible. There was some tiny little gaps because some of the stripping. We don't want to rip the windows apart. So we did have to end up using the trim later to just to trim these out, which we had plenty of it, and I'm glad I brought it. It's made a little longer of a job, but it was definitely well worth it because it came out a lot nicer with the trim too. And the client wanted it, and the contractor didn't want to do the trim because he wanted us to use the same poplar, and he wasn't comfortable doing it. So we just used the same wood that we had, and here we are. The power is really not an issue. We have the shop vac, track saw, miter saw all going. Track saw and the shop vac going at one time there, and we're not using hardly any power, and so it worked out real nice. And we don't have to run power in clients' houses and have extension cords running from their house, etc. And this is a construction site, but we still, I like to use the truck when I can. That's just another tool. So here we were using a miter saw for the trim, so we're going to start cutting this trim up. We were having some crazy angles with these, but once we start to fit them in and sneak up on all these cuts, it started going in real nice. It came out real nice so far.
That'll work?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's pretty perfect.
That's good.
Down right there. I'm just gonna put one in just to hold it for now.
You want to hear somewhere?
Yeah, I'm gonna put bigger ones in. We still have to tape this down. I just want to make sure we're good. So you can see we're just using, for the trim, we're just using glue and 18 gauge brad nails. For the bigger pieces, for the windowsill itself, for the top and bottoms, we use 16 gauge brads. So we're just going to use the 18 gauge. We're not going to use too many brad nails in these because I don't want to take a chance of cracking this, and also I don't want to fill a bunch of holes with wood filler. So because we're not these aren't going to be painted, these are going to be natural. So I want to use the least amount of brad nails as possible. So they're pretty much all in place. Everything's pretty much done. So now we're going to use this tried and true. We also used it on the bench that while we were there. We're just going to rub this in with the Scotch Brite pad. Tried and true, it's a varnish oil. It goes on real nice. It does yellow the wood a little bit, but it does give a nice pop to it. And it came out real nice, and the client was real happy with this. It matches the rest of the woodwork, and it was a hard day's work, but once it was done, we got more work from this client, so we're going to be doing some floating shelves and some other countertop work for them after Christmas. So thanks for watching, and if you learned anything, let me know. Have a good day. Thanks, bye.